Every man carries a wound, and that wound is mostly given by his father. In this video, I am going to be talking about how you can deal with the father wound. And so, I'm going to give you brief context. My father passed away 1 to 2 years ago. He passed away through autoimmune disease, if you know what that is. He basically got this disease after he got vaccinated, and 9 months after, he's now hospitalized. And so we checked on him, and turns out the doctor said he has acute kidney. And a few months after, his health started going down and down and down. The thing about this, the irony in this, is that he actually eats healthy foods. That the animal based diet, he actually eats those stuff, fruits, meat and vegetables and stuff. But then we're not sure why. And now a couple months after, he actually got what is called monkeypox. And so a week after that, then he passed away. It was around February when I was still 16. Now I'm like 17, turning 18. It felt off. It felt weird. Yes, I was lost and confused after that. I started chasing external validation from people, from relationships, right? I started bringing out these shadows in me, these dark side in me that is not matured yet by my biological father. I started getting into lust in a relationship. Started manipulating someone, controlling someone, playing games with people that ruins and sabotages the relationship in us and with my family and with my friends. And I lost a bunch of them in the journey. And it hurts. All throughout that months, I'm always scared to be exposed. I'm scared that my fear is exposed to people. I'm afraid to be vulnerable. I don't want to show that I had this father wound in me. I mean, a lot of people are trying to comfort me, Oh, take care of your mother for me. Take care of your sister. Now your father is gone. I'm sort of in that inner turmoil of trying to be the man, pretending to be the man, trying to be masculine like my father. But little did I know, I'm just destroying myself over time. I'm not dealing with the father wound myself. I don't realize what I'm doing is actually hurting other people and hurting myself. And that's when the unconscious comes out. I'm unconsciously doing these stuff that hurts people and myself that I don't mean to. But it just turns out to be like that anyway. Having the father wound sabotages your life. It will sabotage my life. And if we don't deal with it, it will ruin our life for the next decades, even forever, if we're not conscious that we have one. Throughout those months, I realized, and I read a bunch of books. I consumed a bunch of knowledge, right? I talked to a bunch of people as well on the area between these fatherhood with other men. And I asked them questions, how did it affected you? Because it affected me like this. I did storytelling with brothers. And it turns out that we have to heal the wound. If that isn't already obvious, right? You have to heal the wound. And what does healing the wound mean? Healing the wound, it means that you have to be fathered by God. Now, your father, biologically, was fathering you before. But now that you don't have any more elders, well, maybe your uncle or anyone that is a father figure, or he becomes a masculine model. Now you don't have that anymore. What are you gonna do? Well, you're gonna go out and find some guy that can teach you how to do stuff? In this modern society, in this today's world, you can't do those stuff easily, right? And even those elders, they might also have a father wound that they haven't worked with. And so you cannot teach someone, you cannot bless someone, you cannot father someone if that someone still have their father wound not healed yet, or are not healing, or are not in a process of conscious healing. Because then it will affect the youth, it will affect the student that is being mentored, being taught. And the wound will be this, like, it will be affected like generational, through generations and generations, right? There's no legacy in that. And so what can we do then, right? Now, after I read those books, for some reason I feel that in my heart it came alive. It feels like I'm closer and closer to this divine aura. And the only entity that can understand us personally through our inner and outer self is who? God. God is a superior one, the one that looks into us, the one that has been initiating us through our lives, through my 17 years of lives, through your 20 years, 18, 19 years of lives. And now it's the time to actually be conscious of that if you haven't already, in this fast-paced modern world. Especially when you have a father wound to be healed. God understands you. You are the reason, He is the reason that you are here. He's the one who created you. He created everything. And so you want to step back and think to yourself, okay, if God created me, I am, as a man, is mirroring, it is an image of himself when he created us, right? We have, wide shoulders. We have this type of nose, this type of ear, right? We have a mustache in us. We can grow facial hair. We can be big or be tall or short but wide. We have that masculine energy in us that you want to fight. You have this desire to fight, to go on an adventure, right? To wander through the world and create something. And appreciate the beauty in this world. Appreciate His creation. And so God is the one that does everything. God is the one who creates your masculine identity. God is the one who created your father and made him a father figure. Now, before I dive into the step-by-steps, I want to say that your father, he might be dealing with some problems that might affect you, right? You sort of gotta think to yourself, okay, what did my father do, right? The father wound can come up because abandonment, because he left you, because he passed away. Now you have to sort of think about that. So before we dive in, that's what I want you to know. That's what I want you to think. Next, if you know that your God is, that you are the image of Him in like a man way, right? There's like a woman one, but you are the image of Himself in a masculine energy, in a man figure, then you know the only person that understands you on how to actually give you back that masculine identity that your father, that your biological father failed to, well, it's fate, but failed to, then he's the only one that can father you, right? And so this goes to step number 1, is to name and acknowledge the father wound. What does this mean? Is that you have to understand, you have to acknowledge, you have to know that you actually have the father wound to work with in the first place. If you don't, how are you actually gonna improve from that? You actually have to accept yourself. You have to name it. You have to be, okay, God. And so you want to talk to Him. You want to approach this in a divine way. And so you want to say, God, okay, I have a father wound, and I want to work through it. I want to work with it. I want to heal my father wound. And you want to acknowledge it. Okay, accept it. It affected me badly. Well, I turned into the nice guy. I turned into a tough guy. I'm scared to be exposed. I'm afraid to be seen as vulnerable. When I'm actually meant to speak truth, I actually manipulate. I don't mean to, but I do it. In relationships, I tend to blame others. Well, I'm the one who's wrong because I'm scared of my dignity. Those type of stuff, it's created through the father wound because he failed to show you how masculinity works. And so you have to approach this spiritually. You have to name and acknowledge the father wound. Step number 2 is you have to know how it affected you. How did it actually affected you? Okay, now you name the wound and you acknowledge the wound. I accept that I have a wound. Secondly is, how did this wound affected me? You have to actually, you can write it down, you can journal it, or you can say to yourself. In my opinion, I would write it down so you remember what are your traits that affected you from your past story. Perhaps now you're the nice guy. Perhaps, like I mentioned before, now you're the tough guy. You become manipulative to people. You're scared to tell the truth about yourself. You're scared to express yourself because you're scared to be seen vulnerable. You're scared to be seen. You're scared to be exposed. You just sort of breathe into it and find that inner problem that you've been having for the rest of your lives, that you don't know how to deal with, and you're even scared to deal with because it's something deep into your dark side. And so that's point number 2, which is knowing how it affected you. Step 3 is actually one of the best ones, is to forgive him, is to forgive your father. Because we're all humans, right? All humans are imperfect. And if you don't forgive him, then we cannot release this inner tension in us. We can't release this pressure in us that we're carrying day by day. And this pressure, this tension, you can actually feel it here, right through your chest. You can feel the tension that you're carrying every day to prove something to someone, right? Because every man carries the question, of, do I have what it takes? Do I belong in this world? And if it's not answered by your father, you will chase external validation. You will go out to the world and try to find validation from someone else, from the world itself. You're asking, okay, what does the world want me to do? What does the world need so that I'm safe, so that I belong, so that I'm able to walk through life easily? And so that validation is the problem that we're having. If we keep going through that external validation, the chasing of external validation through our lives, we will never feel purposeful. We will never have a fulfilling life. We have to die before we actually physically die. We have to get out of that comfort zone, and then we can work through our lives easier and more fulfilling, more purposeful, more masculine. We feel that energy in us, making our heart alive. And so if you don't release the pressure in you, you will never work your way through life easily. Step number 4, and this is the last one. After you forgive your father, after you say, Father, I'm sorry. Right? I'm sorry that this happened to you. Because your father, he might actually be going through problems himself. He might actually have a father wound himself, right? Perhaps your grandpa, I don't know, gave him the father wound. In my case, in my story, my father's dad, my father's father, had a divorce with his mom since he was like a child, and he sees that argument every single day. And that goes by every father in the world as well. Our own father has a father wound that he might try to heal, but he still put it on us. He still put this unconscious material, the shadow, his own dark side on us, that he doesn't realize that he's putting it, because he's also going through work, going through life, going through his career, having the responsibility to take care of his family, to take care of his outer self, not inner self. And we have to forgive him for that. All humans are imperfect. If you don't, you will keep on having this pressure of, my father affected me. You have to go through life with a smile on your face and say, Father, I forgive you. Dad, it's okay. Now that you're outside, or now that you're in heaven, I will work my way through life with God. Because you left me something unanswered. But it's okay. Because that's actually God's plan. God works in mysterious ways. And so step number 5 is inviting God into the wound. Throughout these months, I realized that God has been knocking on my door, the entrance to the most important organ in all human being, which is the heart. And so you have to let him mature you, and you have to let him speak identity to you. And you can work your way through this by doing the shadow work, which I'm also going to talk in another video. I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.